Hey folks, it's Rob, and I'm back with the first episode for Shmup where we look at shmups. This time around, we're going to combine a bit of shmup action with some 64 and 8-bit gaming history, because we're going to do a double-barreled comparison of Bedlam. This is a shmup developed by Beam Software and published on US Gold's label Go in 1988. Now I'm going to do a double-barrel look with the 64 version and the Spectrum version, which is a bit of a... which is a bit of an achievement for the channel, because now I'm finally capturing 128K Spectrum footage, as the Spectrum version only runs on a 128K machine. Now, there's not much of a plot to this game. Essentially, you're a pilot in the Stellar Imperium's academy, and it's sort of like part of... and it's part of your final challenge. You are tasked with taking on Bedlam, which is a combat simulation that is 16 stages of pure unabrided chaos. Now, a few things, like, you can sort of sit and look at Bedlam and go, it's pretty run-of-the-mill. And you know, and in a way it kind of is, but it's one of these games where there's just, that while it's not an immediate classic, it's just got these little characteristics that make it very interesting. For starters, whilst I'm not a big fan of the... that formation, not again. The presentation, I like the way that, you know, your lives drop in. I like the title thing. Title thing's really good. But there's also other things, like these eye missiles. One thing that's very handy to know is that if you take out a formation of enemies, which hopefully I'll do now... No, I won't. But taking out a formation of enemies will basically net you... will net you temporary invulnerability. And this time around I'm doing terribly because I haven't even shown you the title sequence. Which I really like the title sequence. But anyway. But the little things as well, like I love your scoring here. I love, like, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see that scoring, like, it animates as it updates. I like that. And it's pretty much just... Oh! Now that T you don't want to get unless you're really going for a score, because that takes you to the bonus pinball stage, which maybe I'll have to show you in another run. These eye missiles can be so disorienting sometimes. Okay. There we go. You can see my ship is flashing. Now I've got temporary invulnerability. And every time you take out a formation, you'll get that. Which I like that as a mechanic. It's sort of... And then there's this, where the physics. Alright. Now, we're not shooting at the moment, because that was a mine. And if I hit the fire button, that would basically act as a smart bomb. Oh! Oh, I had it even though I died. That's pretty fair. Most shmups are brutal on things like that. It's Australian fair go in action. You saw it here first, folks. Anyway. Last life. I want to try and get a little further in. I'll have another run after this for sure. This is a fairly fun little game. Again, I don't think it gets a lot of cred. And I'm guessing, you know, by 1988, you know, we had, you know, some cracking games like Salamander, Catechus, and a lot of others on the 64. So, while it's not up at those levels, it is certainly better than a lot of budget blasters I've seen. Anyway. Let's start again, go for another run. The other thing that's really interesting about this is there's a facility called dual play, which you when starting the game, you hit F1 for single player, F3 for conventional 2-player, and F5 for dual play, which curses. Sometimes the waves are, yeah, that's a little annoying because sometimes you really want to be able to just get those chains. Okay, which means probably the waves. Oh. Oh gosh, alright. May have to have another run after this. Gotta try and give a fair amount of airtime between C64 and Spectrum here. I'm gonna let it run because I want to see if it'll do the title sequence. But you can also groove the synth music with it, and I think it's great synth music. There we go. It's not a fancy game, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot as a kid. I used to play it a fair bit back then. I never mastered it, but I'm sure I was better than I am now. It's funny, sometimes I'm better, sometimes I'm worse. Yeah, we go. Got our invulnerability. Yeah, I think the inertia is really helps make this game feel more brutal than it should be. And I guess that's, you know, that's classic 80s gaming hard. Whether you like that or not is another story. Yeah, now we go. Alright. Do I risk it? Alright, I'll risk it. Time to show you some pinball. So the idea here is that essentially it's a bonus stage on a pinball table. And so that means you need to avoid running into the pinball like that. So the idea is, well, we'll let it fly up the table. So you've got to shoot the pinball around whilst avoiding being bumped around. Unfortunately, yeah, even though it's a bonus stage, you still get penalised, which is kind of a bit daft in my books. But anyway, this is the C64 version of Bedlam. I will basically am going to take my camera and reposition it, hook up the Spectrum, fire the Spectrum version up, and I'll see you in a bit with that version. And we're back. I've got the 128K Spectrum loaded up. Yep, 128 Spectrum time. Bedlam for the Spectrum only runs it on 128K machine. And I'm going to just dive into options. I'm going to try this. The last time I tried to play this on the Speccy, it didn't seem to like my interface for the joystick. So, enter for options. One player. I'd like to use Kempston, please. Yeah. Keyboard it is. One player. Define keys. So one thing about these Spectrum keyboards is the keys are offset. Okay, so I'm just gonna go. Gonna mimic the old school arrow keys. So here we go. Y H G J Z. We happy with that? Yes, we are. Okay. So obviously I don't need to reiterate a lot of the plot and mechanics. One thing I do notice interesting is the level designs are different here. And you've got more lives on the Specky. The 64 version only gave you 3. But it's still the same basic mechanics, right? You fly around, you get your invulnerability from clearing a wave. Now, are those the eyes? I presume. Yeah, those are the eyes. Okay. Get you a little faster now. I don't know if it's me, but the little fighter here. Oh, there's the pinball table. Let's go for that. The T. Alright, ooh, pinball is seriously different here. Except how do I activate it? Come on, how do I activate it? Are we just gonna let this time out? Oh! Okay. On Speccy, it's more traditional pinball here. Which I guess makes sense. Alright. We're back in this fray. One thing I really like is they've actually done a nice job with just the colouring, and the waves are actually a little more interesting. I wasn't sure about this version at first, but it's a good port. As I said, I find it really interesting that Beam and their development teams basically were two different teams doing the same game, and so there are changes. That's just an interesting. I wonder why, because of history. But yeah, I wasn't sure about this conversion at first, but no, it's a good conversion. They've done something different, but it still means it's just and just as infuriating. It's just as much fun and just as infuriating. They've kept the cover of the music, which I dig. I really enjoyed that music on the 64 version. F. Fire rate. Okay. Thank heavens for that. It really is. Oh. I guess you can't move diagonally. Okay, that was a bit daft. Let's have another run on the Spectrum one, because I didn't play it as well. Where's my... I really hate the Spectrum 128 keyboard where it's like, delete is where a tab should be and whatever else. Anyway, let's go for another game. Buy to play or enter for options. We will play off the keyboard because we are weird. Yeah, I don't know why this doesn't work with the Kempston interface I have plugged in. Well, clone of a Kempston interface I have plugged in the back. I usually just have a that, and then I have the divide plugged into my 48, or divide plugged into my 48 for the sake of play. Oh, okay. Yeah, power-ups are different too, because on the 64 version you don't have that firing rate, you just have... Okay, you can collide into those. Ugh. Okay. This is not a good run. But yeah, if we're going to talk about it technically, it doesn't have the smooth scrolling of the 64 version. The Specky does it all in software. I do like the way they've handled the colours though. Like, because when I think of some of the shoes that have pushed the Specky pretty far, Terra Cresta, Slap Fight, Flying Shark, they all tend to use like a half screen and then have a big giant score panel. Let's do one more run. Noob. Runs with noob. Whereas here it's like, pretty much close to full screen and a little score panel at the bottom there. And it's pretty fluid. The coders at Beam did a great job here. And there's a reason why Beam was so damn highly regarded in Aussie gaming. Fire rate increase. Yeah, I know some places don't rate this game highly. I dig it. And I think I know what the problem with the pinball game is now. When I did it last time, I swear it was like... Okay. Oh, terrible play. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to get anywhere near those. 17 stages, or 16 in a final stage or something. I'm going to get nowhere near that. But yeah, so the other thing I find interesting though is, the 64 version and the Spectrum version were done by Beam. And I guess that's sort of the Beam Melbourne House lineage, where the Spectrum held such a major point for them. And of course the 64 was, 98, yeah, it's a heck of a popular machine in Australia. So there's that element to it. And then there's an Astro version, which from what I saw online on some sites, it looks like that Beam weren't involved in that, which is weird because the CPC definitely was in Australia. That's an interesting one. Someone who probably knows a lot more about their history could probably tell me why that happened. Maybe just rivalry, I'm not sure. Rapid fire again. Okay. The homing missiles are such a unique, painful thing. Yeah, I don't know if it's just this tape file I loaded. Just didn't like the joystick interface. I want to see if I can at least get to the first of the 4 bosses. Is it 4? Yeah, because 16 stages all up, and at the end of every 4th there's a boss. So, see if we can get up to it. Chap's got to have some goals, huh? There we go. Yeah, I think that was a little starting into changing stage. Yeah, playing this on keys on a toe strike is not so good. I really wish I'd been able to because so I own this on the 64, as I mentioned. I own this on the 64, and I thought that, well, we'll open September with both with a shmup and Australian gaming history at the same time. Here we go. Nice. So you're gonna wait for the ice cursors. So we've got to wait for the ice to open on that sucker. And of course, I worried for a minute. I thought I was going to go back to that previous stage, but it's like, no. Rapid fire. Oh, sucker. I'm a terrible player. Well, that was pretty terrible. Not really. You saw the boss. I didn't defeat it, but you saw it at least. So, RP. So with that, I think I'm going to call it a wrap here. This is Bedlam on the C64 and the Spectrum, both developed by Beam, published by Go. I hope you enjoyed this first look into Shmup-Temba. Bedlam doesn't seem to get a massive amount of hype, so I thought I'd shine a bit of light on it. Fairly well produced game. I dig it. As always, I hope you enjoyed it. If you played any of the other versions, which I think is just the CPC one, do leave some comments down below. I'd love to know how it compares. Failing that, I always love hearing feedback and comments from folk who are enjoying these. And of course, if you did enjoy it, please do consider leaving a thumbs up and spreading the word. It helps, get the word out there and get more people watching these. I can only go so far with my own reach. And as always, thanks to all the subscribers. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you all for a new video next week. Thanks again.